In these perilous times, see from current events how biblical prophecy is coming to pass in front of our eyes. You're watching In the Last Days, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. With Martin and Natalie Blackham, thank you to our friends and partners who make this program possible. Now, here's Martin and Natalie.
Hi, welcome to the In the Last Days television program with myself, Martin Blackham. Natalie's behind the scenes today, but she says hello to you. We are the program that looks at Israel. We look at the news, we look at features from Israel, and it's great to have you with us today. As we come into the studio today, I've got the Jerusalem Post, which is the headlines of the Jerusalem Post, which says, 4 terrorist attacks rock Jerusalem over 12 hours. And as we're coming to do the program in the studio today, we are in the midst of a series of terrorist attacks in Israel. And joining us today in the studio, we have Shadi, and I'm going to try the name, Khalloul. It's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for coming across. Shadi's come across all the way from Galilee to be with us today, and you're going to find it very, very interesting because we're going to have a Christian perspective from the land of Israel on what's happening, and he's also going to be talking about his community in the Galilee. Now, Shadi Khalloul is an Israeli Aramaic Christian Maronite from Kfar Be'er and served as a lieutenant in the paratrooper division of the IDF. He's chairman of the Aramaic Christian Association, was spokesman for the IDF Christian Soldiers Forum for 2 years. And I think this is true, you were also a candidate for the Knesset for Israeli Foreign Minister, as he was, Avigdor Lieberman's Yisrael Beitenu party, which is quite interesting because there's been speaking in the news, there's been some rumors about whether he will be now returning with everything that's happening to something in the government. You campaign for the rights of the Christian community in Israel, and you develop laws and or advocate laws for the Christian community to integrate into the state of Israel. And you've also had meetings with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. You've been featured in Time Magazine, Fox News, Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel, I-24 in Israel Today. So, you know, you're really working very hard for the Christian community in Israel. So maybe just to start us off, Shadi, you can tell us a little bit about the community before we look at your kind of reaction to what's happening. Tell us a little bit about your background so the viewers will know who you are.
Yep. Well, Martin, thank you for inviting me here. It is very important actually to tell our audience and your audience about our Christian, indigenous Christians of the Galilee, and their heritage, their identity, true identity that some, I call it forces, foreign forces, try to hidden or hidden it through 1,400 years of Arab Islamic occupation, conquest to the Middle East, since the Arabs came out of Saudi Arabia and the Arab Peninsula to this Aramaic crescent, what we call it, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, and include Israel, that was originally populated by Jews and Christian Aramaic who spoke Aramaic, language of Jesus. This is the original of the Middle East. And so thank you so much for allowing us to be known to the public and to the world public. And I would like to tell the audience that we are of Aramaic, we are Aramaic population who inhabited this region in the time of Muslim conquest in the 7th century. And after this conquest and occupation since 1,400 years, we were forced actually to be, some of us to convert to Muslim religion. We as a Christian, Aramaic and Jews as well, and some of us couldn't actually stand up that long under dimitude attitude and rules, very tough rules in Islamic Sharia law. So they were forced to convert to Islam, and the ones who stayed as we are today, Christian Aramaic, praying in Aramaic language in our churches, Jesus Galilean accent, and as in what we call Jewish, I call them the heroes of these people or these nations, and we still struggle very hard to preserve our identity, to revive our Aramaic heritage and language, and specifically today under Israeli control, under the Israeli state, the free democratic state of the Jewish people. We have opportunity to do so because we enjoy from freedom, but still we have a lot of pressure and lot of persecutions from Arabic neighbors or Arab neighbors. When I say Arabs, it means Muslims, that are extremists and don't allow you to how you call it, to connect back to your roots and the common roots with our Jewish people.
Now, so for the viewers, there's a Christian community in the Galilee, the Aramean Maronite community, which is indigenous. It's not suddenly they haven't arrived at Ben Gurion on a tour,
Yes.
on a tour coach and decided to live in the Galilee. This is the indigenous community from hundreds, thousands of
Yes,
years?
at least 2,000 years.
2,000 years.
At least.
And you're a community that's not just been in Israel, but you were also in Syria and in the Lebanon. Do you, just as a matter of interest, do you still have connection with the other communities in?
Well,
I know with all the difficulties.
Other communities in Lebanon and Syria and even in Iraq, as you know, are under Islamic control, even though they don't say it obviously this way. But these countries that were established in after Sykes-Picot agreements in 1920, they actually were established as Arab states. But the right actually name of these regimes is ruled by Islamic Sharia laws, and the Christian there has no rights to be elected as presidents or get very high positions in the government or whatever. And if they do so, it is only they choose someone that betrays his Christianity and his Judaism in order to put him in the front, paying him money in order to talk badly about the Jews and about Israel and show that they are pragmatic people and not fanatics, only to justify their needs and their bad dictatorship regimes. So this is a game, and they succeeded so far until now. But I think the audience and the public, the Christian public in the world, should understand the real voice of the free Christians who are not scared to say the truth about the region. We are suffering as Christians in the Middle East under Arab regimes, and include the Palestinian Authority that persecute Christians in West Bank and include in Gaza Strip. So they are doing the same and behave under same laws as it is in Syria, as it is in Iraq, as it is in Lebanon, or in whatever Arab country you can mention or Islamic country, that Christians at the end they are in a lower stage and has no rights as the same as like Muslims.
Now maybe our viewers don't understand this, but when Islam is in control of a country, they restrict. The viewers will be aware, because they live in a democracy, that everybody has rights. Yeah. But when you have Islam in charge, only Muslims have rights.
Exactly.
And I don't think, Shadi, that our viewers understand this, because they live in a country where we have democracy in Europe, in the United Kingdom, in the United States, where there's democracy and we're allowed to speak, but they don't realize that in a Muslim country you're not allowed to speak, and that not only are you not allowed to speak, but you're also persecuted and not allowed to stand for public office, etc. Now, one of the things, as I said at the beginning of the program, we're just facing terrorism in Israel.
Yep.
on a new level. It's been kind of low key for a number of years, but it suddenly re-emerged itself. Some people are calling it the Third Intifada. How is it? How do you know the viewers will be very interested as somebody who's from Israel, as an Israeli, and as a Christian. How is the Israeli Aramaic Christian Maronite community responding to what's happening? How does it affect you?
I would say the Christians are on the, let's say, keeping silent now. We have some voices like me, myself, and others who are speaking loudly because we are very, let's say, patriotic of Israelis, and we would love our state to stay strong and secure, because once it has a, let's say, security, good security, it is security not only for the Jews, it is security for all the citizens of Israel, include myself, include Christian, other Christian, include even Muslims, that good Muslims who want to live peacefully inside Israel and not trying to betray the citizenship of this country. So I think most of the Christians, about 99.9%, would support my voice of staying and keep living under Israeli state, Jewish state, and they would prefer it than live under Arabic Islamic State, if it is called Palestine or it is called Jordan or Syria or Lebanon or whatever it is. They would prefer staying under democratic Jewish state. And thanks God, until now we are trying to, let's say, secure ourselves, because if we will get involved that deeply and being in this, let's say, combat or toward the Jews, and we are threatened and more exposed to be attacked with mixed villages in the north, mixed with Muslim people that can be fanatic.
Exactly, because you're in a very sensitive position, because the Israeli Aramaic Christian Maronites are your neighbors, are the Arab Muslims, and it's whilst not all of them may support what's happening, many of them may be sensitive that even though they might not agree with the terrorism, they support the struggle. In other words, they are...
Exactly. Now, I'm not talking only as a Maronite, because the Aramaic, when we say Aramaic people or nation, it includes under this umbrella of Aramaic nation, different Christian denominations are Maronites, Greek Orthodox, Greek Catholics, even I can tell you Anglicans and Protestants who became or went out of these three original places of Antioch region or Jerusalem Patriarchy. They are of Aramaic roots. So if they now lately became Anglicans, it doesn't mean that ethnically they don't belong to the Aramaic nation. So I am talking about every Christian in these mixed cities like Nazareth in the north, even Haifa, even other places. They could be threatened and under attack if they reveal their views about the Jews and Israel, about siding with them and supporting the state, because they are the weakest chain in Israel, even weakest than the Druze, because the Druze they are very supportive of Israel, but they live in their own villages.
And they're
pure
not
villages.
They're not mixed villages, are they?
Not mixed, and the mixed ones, because they are in the military, so they have more power from their pure other villages, and if something happened, they would get support from their brothers. But in our case, if something will happen, the government is busy with fighting terrorism, and we will be alone, suffering from maybe attacks or whatever programs could happen. So the Christians are very sensitive. They are actually behaving in this way because this is the only choice we have. I hope the government would create, would build like 2-3 pure Aramaic villages in the north, so it would be open for the Christian population to live, preserve their culture, preserve their heritage, be free, feel free to speak their voices, their views, siding with Israel, volunteering in civil service, in the military service, and helping the government freely without any fear from the Arab side. This is a government issue that we are working, and I advocate this case as well.
Now, one of your roles, Shadi, has been to promote the Israeli Defense Force for the Christian community, for recruitment. In other words, that for those who are leaving school in your village or in the villages in that area in the Galilee, to join the Israeli Defense Force. Has that been successful, or?
Well, I think it is a very nice experience we actually had for the last 3 years. We as Christian officers, when I say we, it is myself and another major, a Christian major of a Greek Orthodox actually, not only like me, a Maronite, and he's a Greek Orthodox, another officer major in the IDF. His name is Ihab Shlayan. Both of us, we created this forum, and we involved in it many Christian soldiers and officers, include ladies, to defend our state, to help our state on security issues, because we believe that in order to get our rights, we need also to do our duties to our state. So the army or the military, it is a melting point where you go there for 3 years, you are together with your Jewish brothers in Israel, and not only Jewish, also Druze. And if there is some Muslims also volunteering in the army, you also would meet them there, and all of them will become fully, let's say, feeded with Israeli society principles, and you will learn how to act properly in this society and how to get further in the future good jobs, good positions, get education, good education. This is the military. It is actually a school for Israelites.
It's quite interesting because I was reading a book called Israeli Startup about how Israeli companies have been. They call Israel the startup nation because it's has so many startup companies, and many of these startup companies, the guys who start them were in the IDF, in
Yes.
elite units.
Some electronic units and elite units, yes.
And they meet each other, and because they're involved in technical things, maybe they're involved in research of researching some kind of invention, they're able to transfer that to the commercial market,
Yes.
and come out of the IDF and start a business where they and the other thing is you make a lot of connections in the IDF, so you're not just serving to defend Israel, but you're also meeting other people of your own age who you might connect with for business, that you can get to know people.
Business, exchange ideas. They would know about your community as Aramaic. Until now, they defined us as Arabs. And how come a Christian and Arab? The Arab Christian tribes were Islamized until the 8th century. So this is, they don't exist anymore as Arab Christian of ethnic background. What exists until today of the Christians who are speaking Arabic because they were forced to adapt to their Muslim Arab neighbors are actually of Aramaic ethnic background, and this is what we are today. So once you are in the military, you would be able to connect, build relations with people who might be the leaders of this country. Like I have today my officer that in my area and in my time period, he's the deputy for general for the IDF, and I served with him for 2 years. So he knows me very well. He knows about my Aramaic heritage, and he knows exactly and understand my needs in this case. So it opens for you different places in the government, so you can advocate your needs in an easy way. And just to remind you, we don't go to the our idea of going to join the IDF is not an idea, a new idea. It existed always in the mindset of each Christian person in Israel since the establishment of the state. It was an idea since 1956. They didn't succeed at that time. I wish it would be successful at that time, because today we won't be talking about it. We would be like the Druze. But you need to start somewhere, and we need the help. And the help, it is not only of the government, it's the help of Western Christian people who believe that Israel is just, that believe that Israel is a Jewish and democratic state and has full rights for all of its citizens, and they include us, and they understand that we are under Arab pressure and Arab side that finance other Arab groups or Christians, betrayers, I call them, for our coexistence here with the Jews. They try to talk badly, these Christians, about Israel, got paid by some Arab extremists and nationalists and even Islamic Brotherhood organizations, and all for making their own money. And what we expect from the audience in the West is finance groups, Christian groups, indigenous Christians here, like our organizations, in order to succeed with connecting us back to our Jewish and Aramaic roots, the common roots for us as Jewish people and Christian indigenous people in Israel. I want just to show you something. And
I was just going to say, you brought, Shadi's brought, Shadi's brought something very interesting into the studio regarding the Aramaic community, and be very good for the viewers to see that. It's very exciting.
This is a document, for example. It is from the Zionist archives in Jerusalem. And in this archive, it's written, there is a research done by Dr. Edmund Meir. He's a Jewish doctor. In 1942, before Israel was established, 6 years before Israel was established. Look what we as Christians, indigenous of this region and the Aramaic community, and specifically the Maronites here is in this case, spoke about the Jewish existence and the heritage, ethnic heritage of both of us. I will read from a speech of our patriarch, and this was when the Jews were weak at that time. When we're talking about 1937, the Jews were under pogroms in Europe, persecuted in Europe and in the Middle East, persecuted in Syria, persecuted in here. The Palestinian with Sheikh Amin Hosseini was very fanatic with Nazi ideas, trying to eliminate every Jewish person in this region. So our patriarch, the head of our Maronite church, came very loudly, went to the synagogue in Beirut, the synagogue of the Jewish community of Beirut, and this is what he said to the Jews. And this is our way of today. We continue this way. It's not because Shadi is, some people say, oh, he's crazy. He's trying to do things, or I don't know if he would be successful. I'm not doing it because I dream. I am continuing the way that our fathers started that before and believed on it, and we are continuing it to, in order to establish and implement it. This is the speech. The most important and the most pleasant manifestation was the following. In the spring of 1937, before his departure to Europe, the patriarch spent a short time in Beirut and visited the synagogue. The Jews has built a triumphal arch and Maccabee guard of honor accompanied the guest. Mr. Farhi, the president of the Jewish community, expressed their thanks, and the patriarch answered, the Jews are not only our ancestors, but also our brethren. We are of the same origin. We speak almost the same language, which is Hebrew and Aramaic. Our fathers are your fathers. We are proud to be the sons of the same race. We owe everything to Judaism. Our doctrines are derived from your law. We sincerely desire that productive and enduring relations be established between us and the Jews in general and Zionists in particular. Who's saying that ahead of our church? In particular, we want to help one another, and we wish wholeheartedly that God may save the Jews from persecutions with which they are suffering in an unjust and inhuman way, both in Germany and in Palestine. After this, and he's continuing, but today I want to assure you, children of Israel, who are expelled from Germany and not friendly received by the Arabs of Palestine, that there is room for us and for you in the Lebanon. It is already a long time that His Beatitude has been considering such a scheme. By His orders, we have tried to influence the authorities to permit the Jews to enter the Lebanon. And look what happened. The Muslims of Syria and the Lebanon were not satisfied with these utterances. There are reports about an incident between the Patriarch and the Mufti of Beirut. So, this is what we face. If we talk the truth and we want to connect with the Jews, the Arabs start demonstrating about us, against us. The Mufti or all religious Islamic leaders will talk against us, and we will be attacking us. This is what the Christians afraid. If they are in the West Bank under Palestinian authorities, or it is under Israeli control here in Arab mixed with Aramaic Christian population in the north, or in Lebanon, or in Syria, or wherever it is in Iraq. This is the situation, and as be a homeland for minorities, persecuted minorities in the Middle East. If this was successful, like we see it today in Israel, the Jews persecuted all over the world can come here and be safe in Israel.
Thank you so much, Shadi. It's been great to be with you. Don't forget you can email us at info@inthelastdays.com. And remember, we're living in the last days.
You've been watching In the Last Days, a TV program with Martin and Natalie Blackham, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. If you would like to financially support the program or find out about conferences, meetings, or ministry products, then please contact us with the details on your screen. Visit our easy-to-use website at www.inthelastdays.com and register for our free e-newsletter. Get the latest news from Israel, product information, online video teaching, or watch today's TV program at a time that's convenient to you. Thank you again, friends and partners, for making this program possible.
See you same time, same station for the next program from In the Last Days.